First off, again, this is our first online chat here. It's Thursday, March 26th. So hopefully everyone can see that on their screen. Now, I just want to let everybody know that I am recording the chat, so I will be posting the video when we're finished, so you'll be able to go back and review any information that we're talking about. But first, maybe this message here on the screen is applying to you right now. So maybe you've been wearing your pajamas all day. So 8 p.m. is now the official time to remove your day pajamas and put your night pajamas on. So I'm not wearing pajamas, but it's been nice to dress a little more comfortably while I've been doing these online chats. So, okay, well, let's talk about our agenda. So first off, in a moment, we're all going to say hello. We're all going to greet each other. So the first thing I would like to do is to go ahead and show you how to use Zoom and how we can say hello. So we're going to practice with that right now. So first off, we're going to see how to use Zoom on our phone. So if you're using the phone, we're going to look at three things very quickly. How to mute and unmute our microphone, how to resize the screen, and how to use the chat feature. So the chat feature is what we're going to use quite a bit to communicate during the time. Now, once in a while, we'll use our microphones. So in just a moment, we're going to use our mics and we're all going to say hello to each other. But it's often difficult for everyone to use their mics at the same time. Sometimes you get kind of a crazy echo. So, but let's go ahead and kind of go on to the next screen. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next screen. So once again, you should be able to see on your screen, I have two pictures here. So again, many of you were in yesterday's class for the low intermediate group. So we kind of reviewed this already, but for some of us, this is our first time. So if you're using Zoom on your phone, you should see here on the screen two pictures. On the left side is what it looks like on your phone when your microphone is turned on. So if you notice down here at the bottom, I've circled it where it says mute. So notice it's not turned off. So when you see this on your phone, this means your microphone is turned on. Okay. And then over on the right side, it says your microphone is turned off when you see this kind of red picture here with a slash through it. So that means that your microphone is turned off. Now, most of the time, I'm going to ask everybody to leave their microphone off. So make sure we turn it off when we're in our online chat. But once in a while, we will use our microphones to talk. So that's what I would like to do right now. So what I'd like to do is let's go ahead and we're going to use our microphones and we're all going to say hello. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment. Okay, so going to come back now. All right, so everybody, let's take a moment and all say hello to each other. So if you want to turn your microphones on for just a moment. So remember, if you see this on your phone, your microphone is turned on. So let's make sure our microphones are turned off. And we probably want to mute our video too, okay? So that way we don't necessarily, we don't need to see everybody during the whole thing. So again, if you're wearing pajamas, we don't need to see it. So, but anyway, yeah. So guys, if we can mute our microphones and video just for the time being, okay? All right, let's talk about the next thing on our phones, and that is how to resize your screen. So I know that on the phone, sometimes the information can look very small. So if you notice, if you want to make the screen bigger, you probably saw this message. It said, pinch out for a bigger view. So if you use your fingers and you can resize the screen, so like you see over here, you can make the screen bigger on your phone. So that's one of the nice things about it. And if you're using the computer, obviously you probably can see the screen much better. But again, you can use your fingers to pinch out to resize the screen like this. Okay, so hopefully you've been able to do that. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about how we are going to communicate. Probably the best way we can communicate is to use the chat feature. So that's what we're going to do right now. So first off, on your phones, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you should see these three little dots and the word more. So if you click on that, you will see a window that appears that says chat. Now, everybody, what I'd like for you to do now is we're going to open the chat room. So click on more, then click on chat, and we're all going to put a message in the chat room. Okay, so for example here, this is a sample message that says hello. So I'm going to put a message in the chat room. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment, and we're going to jump into the chat room there. So I see some people have already posted a message. So yeah, everyone just put a little message in the chat room. So when we want to leave the chat room, we need to click on the close button. So again, from time to time, I will say, let's chat, and then I will say, okay, now close the chat. So in this case, we're going to close the chat for just a moment, and we're going to use it again. We're going to use it again very soon in this particular lesson. So again, each lesson will have some times where we get to talk, but then we'll also have times where we get to chat, okay? So again, consider today's presentation just kind of a way to introduce us to the different features of the Zoom on the phone, okay? All right. Well, guys, let's go ahead and go to our next topic. So again, each online chat, I'm going to be sharing a new expression that we can learn. And I think this is a pretty good expression for us to talk about here today. And that is the expression pull through. Now, again, obviously, we don't have the opportunity for all of us to repeat them together. So you can repeat it at home if you like. So I'm going to say the word a couple of times. Pull through. Pull through. Okay, now to pull through means to try to succeed in a difficult time. So often when we use the expression pull through, we use the group pronoun we, the first person pronoun plural. So if you notice my example, if we all work together during this difficult time, we will pull through it. So we will succeed. We will go through this difficult time. We will pull through. So I know right now it probably feels very difficult for many of you and for many of my other students who maybe can't come and join us online. So oftentimes we try to pull through, we try to work together. So again, a similar related expression, if you notice my picture here of, here's Charlie Brown. So I don't know if you know Charlie Brown and Snoopy, but notice they're all pulling together in the same direction. So we pull together, right? We work together to solve a problem. So if we pull together, we can pull through a tough time. We can succeed in a difficult time. So I don't know, maybe you're feeling right now that things are difficult. So we should try to pull through. Okay, so here comes our first chat opportunity in the chat box. And that's a question that you can take a moment and answer in the chat box. So we're going to use the chat box here. And so here's my question. What are some things we can do to help each other pull through this difficult time? So think about it. What are some things maybe you're doing right now to pull your family through, to pull your friends through? And what can we do to pull each other through? So I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment, and I would like for people to give maybe just a short suggestion in the chat box. What are some things we can do to pull through this difficult time? Okay, well, thank you all very much for answering that question. So I hope we all do pull through this situation. But you know, right now it's going to be, I think, a difficult time. So hopefully we can all help each other here in the English class too. So I hope everybody can do that. Okay, now in every chat session, I'm going to try to include a sort of mini lesson, a sort of short lesson to focus on different things. But I also want to give you guys the opportunity to talk about things that you're interested in too. So at the end of our lesson today, I will be sharing some information about how you can give your thoughts of what you would like to do while we're practicing together. Because again, we do have lots of opportunities here that we may not necessarily always have in class, okay? But today, for the next two chats, I'd like to talk about some pronunciation issues because I know right now maybe we're not doing a lot of speaking and practicing. So we're going to have a chance to do some of that here in the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to do a quick little presentation on linking. So again, linking is something that really does, that we really do need to focus on if we want to continue to improve our listening and our speaking. So for the next two lessons, we're going to talk about linking. Now, in today's lesson, I'm just going to give a very quick overview of what linking is. So some of you have maybe have seen this information before. And we're going to discuss the three kinds of linking that we have. So we're going to talk about what's called consonant to vowel linking, vowel to vowel linking, and what's called blending. Blending is when we blend consonant sounds together. Which is again kind of a kind of linking, but not exactly the same. So we'll take a look at that here. And again, you can kind of practice along with me. We won't be using our microphones, but you can kind of follow along as we practice. Now, I have another presentation that I'm going to use to demonstrate this. So I'm going to exit this presentation for just a moment, and I'm going to start another presentation. Now, I have created lots of videos on YouTube around pronunciation. So actually, most of this presentation comes from a presentation I did several years ago. So I'm going to share a little bit of that presentation here and just kind of go through things. And again, please just try to follow along with me as we go, okay? So let's talk about what linking is. So remember, English is a rhythmic language. So linking is a rhythmic feature of English. So it occurs when you have two or more words that sort of connect together. So oftentimes it makes it sound like it's just one long word, but with multiple syllables. So that makes listening to English very difficult, and of course it also makes communicating with people a challenge as well. So linking is something that's very common in English. So linking can often produce groups of words with a rhythmic pattern that will follow these kinds of ideas. So for example, often linking can make groups of words sound very similar to a single word that has the same stress pattern. And we're going to look at some examples of that in just a moment. And it also can take the same amount of rhythmic time to say. So let's demonstrate with a couple of examples, and I think you'll see what I'm talking about. So for example, on the left side, we have one word, and on the right side, we have two words. But if you notice, when we say them, they're going to sound almost the same. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to identify where the stressed syllables are. So on the words on the left, let's try to find out where the stress is. So for example, when I say the word minute, where do we hear the stress? Well, in this case, we hear it at the beginning, minute. Okay, all right, the second word, you say the second word to yourself. Okay, so you should have said sender, sender. All right, and the last one? The last one is a name, Willie, Willie. Okay, so if I click on the screen, you will see that the stressed syllable is the first one. Everyone say it together with me. Minute, sender, Willie. Okay, all right, now on the right side, now we have two words. But you'll notice that these two words sound exactly the same in terms of their stress. Now, that's because in the examples on the right, we're going to identify the stressed word, and you will notice that in each case, the first word is going to be the stressed word. So again, say these with me now. Win it. Send her. Will he? Okay? Now, let's get into talking about linking. So for example, you will notice how the final consonant sound from the first word will sort of link together with the second word. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a slash mark. So this is a slash mark here to represent where the break will occur. And we're going to use an arc to represent how the sounds will connect. So you'll see it visually on the screen. And then in a couple of situations, you'll notice we're going to remove the letter H. Some of you might remember we call this the disappearing H because English speakers will often cut this sound from the words. So let's demonstrate now visually. So if you notice on the left side, on the left side, we've got the words, and on the right side, notice now how I'm visually representing how this information connects. So again, let's say them together, and this time let's try to follow my patterns. So let's say the word on the left, and then we're going to say the ideas on the right. So let's say it. Minute. Win it. Sender. Sender. Willie. Willie. Now, if you noticed in the last two examples especially, they sounded exactly the same. That's one of the problems that you've probably noticed about English, is that the sounds are exactly the same. But on the left side, it's only one word, whereas on the right side, it's two words. And again, notice that the words her and he often have that disappearing H. Let's say these two one more time. Let's say them slowly, and then we're going to say them in a linked fashion. So let's say it slowly. Send her. Will he? Now, when we link them together, again, watch what happens. Sender. Willie. So you notice the problem here is, if I remove the H, it sounds exactly the same as the words on the left side. So again, notice that when we link sounds together, we notice how both sets of words take the same amount of time to say. Now, that's because English is different from your languages. English is a rhythmic language. So the truth is, when we speak, we don't pay attention to the number of words or even the length of those words. It's all about how many stresses, how many beats. And again, beats are the syllables that we stress, but also the syllables we don't stress. So that's what's more important. How many different beats do we hear in a word? So again, for example, in minute and win it, we hear only two beats, one stressed and one unstressed. So that's a really big difference between English and your language. Okay, now we're going to start by looking at these two examples of linking, so consonant and vowel linking, and then vowel and vowel linking. Now again, don't worry, we are recording this so you can follow along later, but just try to follow along now. So let's talk first about consonant to vowel linking. Consonant to vowel linking is the most common type of linking in English, and that's when the consonant sound at the end of the previous word will link to the vowel sound at the beginning of the next word. And then notice the consonant will often sound like it goes together with the next word. Now, look at these examples here. Everyone, let's say these together. Okay, so let's say it. It's easy. It's easy. Each hour. Each hour. You're in. You're in. Win at. Win at. Still on. Still on. And finally, with us. With us. Now, notice I'm going to use the slash mark to show you how that consonant goes with the vowel sound at the beginning of the next word. So notice the slash marks will show you. So in this case, the S is not going to sound like it goes with it. It's going to sound like it goes with the second word. It's easy. It's easy. Each hour. Each hour. You're in. You're in. When at. Still on. Notice I switched the L's here, can stretch a little bit. And finally, with us. With us. Okay, now another type of linking is when we link vowel sounds, and that's when the vowel sounds basically sound the same. So you have the vowel sound at the end of the previous word linking together with the vowel sound at the beginning of the following word. Now, one reason why this occurs is because many vowels use what's called a consonant glide. So you'll see that here in the pictures that I'm demonstrating here. So for example, with C, you'll notice you hear a little bit of the y sound at the end of C. You also hear it at the end of pay, yeah. With to, notice you hear the W sound, to, w. And the same thing with the words how, w. Okay, now let's link these together. Practice with me. See over, see over. Pay early, pay early. Too easy, too easy. And finally, how interesting, how interesting. So again, notice those sounds kind of help us in linking these two vowel sounds, the E and the O, the A and the sound that we hear at the beginning here, the oo and the E, right, and the w and the I sounds. So again, this is called vowel to vowel linking. Now again, the one thing I like to share with students is linking is very common in speaking. It's very common. And so in this case, we often think of it as a much more informal part of English. It's true that we try to speak more clearly in more formal situations, but the truth is English speakers will try to link as much as possible. So keep that in mind, okay? So that's why it's so important to practice linking. Okay, now the final type of linking that we're looking at is actually referred to as blending. Now, blending, its formal name is called a geminate, which comes from the word Gemini. So if you know the word Gemini, it means like twins, is similar to linking in that two or more words will come together to sound like one word. But blending involves connecting the same or similar sounds together. Now, in general, there are two kinds of blending, consonant to consonant blending and vowel to consonant. Now, take a look at these examples here. Notice how the consonant sound at the beginning of one word will connect to the consonant sound at the beginning of the next. Now, I often find that students have the most difficulty with blending, and some of it might depend on the difficult sounds that some of these words have. But let's try these particular words together. So everyone say them with me. Store rate, store rate. Miss Steve, Miss Steve. With that, with that. Beach chair, beach chair. Orange juice, orange juice. And finally, real life, real life. Now notice what we're doing is we're kind of stretching the sounds together. That helps to blend the two words. So notice with the words on the right, sometimes we also hold the consonant sound. So especially that ch sound and that j sound, those are a little bit harder to stretch. So you notice we'll kind of hold it a little bit and then finish at the beginning of the next word. Now I'm going to use a little visual demonstration. So again, we kind of stretch the sound, store-rate, right? But if you notice on the right side, we kind of have to hold it a little bit. Beach chair, beach chair. So it's a little more difficult to do this with some of the words here on the right. The S's are much easier. Miss Steve. But again, with that. Notice here we have the th sound in with and the th sound in that. So it's a little harder to connect those two, but we do with that. And then again on the right side, again, L's are a little easier, real, but we finish it here, life, real life. So again, blending is a challenge. It can be a lot more difficult to blend consonant to consonants than it might be to link vowels. Now, finally, we can link vowel sounds together too. So let's say these together. And again, we're going to use those glides that we talked about earlier. So again, a glide is when we use the end of the vowel to connect to the consonant at the beginning, but they all kind of have that vowel consonant blend. So for example, with the say, we're going to use the y sound. Say you. How weird. So that W is going to help. And finally, too well. So notice that W sound is going to help you, and that Y sound is going to help you there. Okay, so this is what we call blending. So these two last examples were how we blend sounds together. Okay, all right, so guys, I'm going to end that presentation and return to this final slide. Now, once again, we're using Zoom, but we're using the free platform of Zoom. So part of the problem is often Zoom will put a time limit on how long we can speak. So we actually have about 2 minutes left on our clock. I don't think it's going to continue, but we'll see what happens. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about what we're going to do next, okay? Now we're going to continue our online instruction. So I don't know if you saw my message last week, but basically we've got until the end of the semester. So at this point, I'll be sending out some information to you. And I would like for everybody to try the next assignments here and the next week. So hopefully we don't get kicked out here of the room. I think we're about ready to. So again, I will share this information with you in your emails. Okay. Well, guys, I'm going to stop here for today because our time is just about up. So thank you so much for participating. And again, I'm glad you were able to join us today.